Hello,
Checking the sound again. Checking the sound again. Yeah. Jason, do you have something to start us out? Are you good?
Let me think of something really, 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 really fast.
Something about you woke up at...
Oh my God.
Wait, are you like 30 or like not 30? You look 20 something.
Years old?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like way 30.
I was gonna say 26.
Yeah,
what the damn it. Okay.
I'm even more way 30. Yeah. I literally turned 37 next Saturday.
What? You're fucking with me.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No. It's those baby Canadian genes. It's being from Northern Ontario, man. You just don't age.
You're literally blowing my mind right now. You're telling me I'm the baby here?
You are way the baby.
You're the youngin'. You got the most hair, but you're the youngin'.
What?
That'd just be the intro. Hey gamers, this is Jason, and he's trying to do the intro to Hey RPGaymer podcast, but he's confused. He's hurting himself in his confusion.
I'm KBash. I'm a gamer. Call that a status ailment.
And I'm the status effect that you get from staring at Jason's face for too long. Boner killer. It's me, Patrick. Welcome to RPGaymer Season 3, Episode 9, a podcast episode about status effects.
I'm not even offended. Like, I'm proud of that. Yeah, like Patrick said, today's episode is focusing on status effects, everyone's least favorite and most favorite thing in video games. And we do have our special guest back. We have our returning Mr. KBash is here. So KBash, welcome back. Thank you for being here.
I wish I could feel that.
Praise
I
the sun.
Getting up in the morning.
Praise the sun.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no. I don't know. Well, I'm low energy. I'm sorry. Yeah, Thanks so much for having me. I'm actually kind of hyped, but like because it is Mother's Day, even though that's a spoiler, man, no caffeine, nothing. I feel nothing.
You have no coffee yet this morning?
I'm on water.
Just go get. You got to go get something. Okay, when we take a break.
No, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with water. I promise.
Okay. I mean, being caffeinated is a status effect. So like he's getting in the mood of the episode.
I gotta write
it's really
that
good.
down.
Caffeinated is status effect. Yeah, that's kind of what we're here to talk about. And this is like Jason said, this is the kind of thing that everybody loves and everybody hates in a game. But I feel like status effects is a pretty broad thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think fits in this box of what is a status effect?
Right. I don't want to cut over, but I was interested when I saw it because I was expecting it to just be like raw negative stuff. But we've included the positive aspect of status changes more broadly because they are important to talk about. It just didn't even, it went over my head. And then I was like, oh, yeah.
Same. When we were prepping for this episode, when we think of status effects, we always think about the negative things and especially the ones that frustrate us, but we don't necessarily readily think about them as how we can use them to affect enemies or play styles. And then, like you said, the good ones too, where it completely changes the way you play a game. And I think that's kind of what we mean in status effects and their role in gaming is this whole notion of a way to not make a game just I hit you, you hit me, I dodge you, I dodge me. Like it adds that extra element to a game that makes it more spicy. And like in some ways it's fun and in some ways it's frustrating.
For sure.
I agree. I think when I was looking at this topic and trying to think like what makes status effects unique in games, like I think I started to move back a little bit from that realm and think maybe status effects are what make games gamey. Because like you see people get poisoned in TV shows and you're like, oh, they're poisoned, that's gonna suck. But in a game you're like, shit, like I gotta do something. Like, and it just makes it feel more like this is what makes a video game feel like you're doing something that makes it a game. Because otherwise, like you said, Patrick, it's just punch, hit, and that's it. But compared to like a book, when you read about someone being confused and it being very different in a game, and it just feels like it's almost, as much as I hate to say it, like a necessity for video games to be to be what they are. Like they have to have this sort of thing that's in them.
It sucks to admit, but I was thinking about it and it's like, no. Like, I don't think that unless you're doing a boutique experience, like a very specific kind of video game that sells a much much more aggressive or like punishing gameplay framework, I guess, status elements feel kind of inherently necessary, but yeah,
because otherwise, if you're just hacking and slashing and like you have no remorse or recourse for anything else, it's just okay. I have more HP, so I beat you. But like now, that guy's poisoned. That guy's petrified. This guy is paralysis. Like it makes it so much more dire. Or like you said, it could be buffed. Like now I do more damage. Now I take less damage. Like those are also really cool.
Yeah, it's weird, and I think we're kind of teetering a line about the necessity of their inclusion, and I think all what comes down to is how well they're balanced.
Totally.
Because you could have some really great status effects that make a game fun even though they're being used against you, and then you have some of those ones that just like mercilessly make the game unfun. And I would say personally, why we naturally think of like, oh, status effects frustrating is because most of the time they're not balanced well. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, like a lot of status elements, in my opinion, is they don't conform to like modern game design principles as much. Like they're a relic from an old era that are a band-aid solution to an issue, but do not therefore address like player agency or interactivity meaningfully, and therefore just like rip it away from, and that creates a lot of feels bads. So a lot of people end up thinking this sucks. I remember this shit because of how much I hated this, and that's kind of like, like, do you want people remembering that? I don't know.
Yeah, is that the aspect you want them to draw out of your game 10 years later?
For sure.
In some games, like you said, hurt bad, feel bad, but sometimes it doesn't feel like they're balanced in just like the longevity of the game. Like early in a game, a status effect can be like, man, this thing is the worst. Poison is the worst. But then you think of a game like Dragon Quest where it doesn't do anything mid to late game anymore. Like, so aside from sleep and paralysis, like some of these base status effects, they're not thought of in the long run or the long term. So sometimes they're not balanced well in your favor to the point where you just question like, why was this even included? Because it doesn't even, it's not relevant.
I have so many thoughts. Sorry, immediately. Because I was just like, you immediately blasted me back to Dark Cloud 1. Because in the first cave, you can die, like get bit by a bat and get poisoned and literally just die. And you can't.
It wrecks you. It's like the first thing you do.
But that effect becomes much less impactful later. Though that actually presents a problem, because now you have the dichotomy of, is this a valuable narrative, much like Dungeons and Dragons, of like, these problems are petty and no longer do they matter to us? Or like, should the entire thing be like a system framework? Like, should this be like a relevant issue forever? And I guess that's two different types of games, fundamentally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking just because recently my friends and I, we played Magic the Gathering trading card game. It's great. And in that game, sometimes people will refer to things as a timer. So like when you lay down a creature or a spell or something that will end the game after so many turns, it's called a timer. You have a timer of like 3 turns. Yeah. And so similar with poison. So in Dark Cloud, it's a great example. If you get poisoned, you have a timer of like 4 minutes and you're going to die. So but later on in the game, the timer becomes like 6 hours. And it's like, this is no longer relevant. But like to flip it around in a good way, Patrick and I are playing Outward. And if you get somewhat poisoned in that game, it's like, it's always like a timer of like 10 seconds. Like you need to deal with it quickly or you're gonna die. I think in that sense, it's a lot more effective because it just seems like, okay, this is always relevant. And in that game, you're kind of balanced where you're always kind of weak. You're never like a tank powerhouse. Right. So maybe that's a topic there. I think it that's in those senses, those things kind of, I don't know, fit better. It feels more dire, more immediate all the time.
I guess I want to know along with that, because Jason, you're talking about Outward, and I could talk about Outward all day, because I do think like it does have some balancing issues, but at the same time is a great game and it's very intentional with its design, especially being like a survival RPG where they're throwing all kinds of shit at you to deal with. What are some games where you feel like status effects really make the experience, whether that's what you can do with them or what's being done to you? You got this, KBash.
Go ahead. I see your mouth is pursing.
I'm fucking salivating to talk about Dragon's Dogma for like 2 seconds.
Dragon's Dogma. Oh man.
So Dragon's Dogma does have one issue before I say how it makes the experience, which is that sometimes they suck. There's a blind effect that just ink blots your entire screen. And if you don't have a heal, you're just stuck with that for like 30 seconds to a minute. And it sucks. It's just a bad piece of whatever. But you can also torpor enemies, which is like slow, but then their entire body slows down physically in an action game, right? So like a giant cyclops is like, and then you can just run around them, not get hit, crawl up on them, slash their eye. To be clear, like that's a game where targeted attacks and climbing on big monsters matters. So suddenly like that entire system is like easy mode. And you can get that on your starting weapons. It's not even like, it's just built into the game. That game has a ton of ailment stuff like that and contextual things like you stepped in oil and now you're oiled. So if someone lights you on fire, you're just going to blow up. It's going to suck. But it's like, that's cool because that's old era Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. Like you're greasy now, so don't interact with fire. Like basic interactivity. And then there's wets, like you get watery. I forget what it does exactly, but I know it like...
Get wet.
Yeah. it probably makes you susceptible to lightning. But
yeah, right.
Either way, I love those ailments in that game because they interact like with RPG old design with modern day action stuff at the same time. It feels very cool to play. That's all.
Yeah, I think that is kind of a good example. That is a very good example. And how you said it is an action RPG where if I take that in a turn-based sense with the exact same thing, I'm thinking of Divinity, where you have the wet status effect, and if an enemy's wet, then you like hit him with ice, now they're frozen, or if you hit him with lightning, now they're shocked. But I think it is cooler, like you're saying, to seeing it in an action sense, because like you said, you see it in real time. So literally you can run around this frozen enemy or scale this giant that has been slowed. I think that is a really cool way to think about it and see it in action, because there are a lot of things that turn-based RPGs can get away with that action RPGs can't.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like that, and I think it ties into one of my examples too. Was I guess it really is just an action RPG, but I'm thinking of World of Warcraft.
Oh yes,
I used it quite a lot. Like one of my main characters was a frost mage, so like the slow effect was very effective, and like a stun to like stop enemies from casting was also really effective. And so like those things were built into how you played the game, because if you didn't do it, you would just straight up die, and like so you had to use them.
I don't want to interrupt you, but like sheeping mobs, like polymorphing in dungeons.
Oh, so wonderful.
But also in PvP arena, like having to chain ailments with your team to kill someone because the game's balanced around it. That's awesome. Oh yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. And I remember telling the team, like, I'm gonna like, I think I would say 1, 2, 4. It was my like key bindings. Like, so then when they saw 4 go out, they know like their next step is to attack with fire.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, like it was really fun. And it's, if I think about it, if I remove just like swords, like the whole game is just status effects for me, because like that's all you would do over and over again. But yeah, it was effective. And I never really thought about it, but I guess if I translated that to like Pokemon, like it wouldn't be as cool to be like, they're a little bit slower now. Like it just wouldn't quite work. So yeah, it is kind of neat to think of the difference between the action RPG and the really action game, I guess, not just RPG, and then the traditional. Patrick, what about you? What are your thoughts?
So turn-based wise, I think games like Final Fantasy X and Etrian did status effects really well. I think Final Fantasy X was probably the first time where in this series they balanced status effects, because they were functional pretty much through the entire game. Like you had one character whose whole MO was status effects. Waka could blind, he could silence, he could do all these different things, and it was kind of like his gimmick to help you play a part of the game. So because of that, I feel like it went really well. And I also appreciated how a lot of the status effects had a time limit, where it was only on you for so long. So you might be penalized, but like eventually
it naturally decays away. Yeah.
And Etrian is kind of the same way, which I mean, I can never talk about the series enough because it is one of my favorite series, but the whole game is just kind of like D&D on steroids, and any playstyle is viable. And one of the major playstyles is, if you don't want to go for a damaging team, you could go for a lockdown team, because all bosses and enemies have a lot of status effects that they're vulnerable to, and they have these really cool ways of doing it too, where if an enemy uses its legs to do special moves, you can like bind its legs, and binding its legs is a status effect. Now like it just can't it can't dodge and it can't do any of those things. Or if it's like all of his special moves use arms, you can do the same thing. You can bind its arms and now its attack power is weakened and it can't do any of those moves. I think it's just a really great way to approach a game because it really makes you think of different strategies to play. And that's why I really like status effects in games, because it makes you think and strategize, like, what are all the tools I have available and how am I going to use them? And it's so frustrating when you play games and you can't, or you have them and like you got a 90% resistance to like at all enemies do, which is so annoying.
I realized we like we leapt over the like, are they balanced? No. The are they balanced well discussion, and I was like zoned out. But I wanted to talk like for 5 seconds about Trials of Mana and Seiken Densetsu 3, like the original, because that game, this drives me personally insane. That game is like all about, how do I say this? They give you all these options and all these character things you can, like, there's a character who's all about buff or debuff depending on which path you go with them. But none of
the
yeah, but
right?
in the original game, none of that even matters because the game is so trivially easy. With like one character, this dude named Kevin the werewolf, you can win the whole game solo with him at the second level, not the third tier, because he's just that strong. And it's like when he
just shreks everything.
And so it's like, what does any of this even matter? Now this was mostly like changed by the remake. Everything, you know, status buffs, ailments, whatever, they're viable suddenly because they've actually like brought the balance.
They balanced it.
Otherwise, the only thing about that game that's quirky, I think, is like Seiken Densetsu's like, we put balloon on a guy, which is like a stun, but we called it balloon, and they're floating away on a balloon, but not really though. And it's like, why? Like, it's just weird.
Like,
that's all.
The most random fantasy anime thing that you could create.
Get ballooned.
Yeah, like it's cute, but it didn't do anything. It was just a stun. Anyway, yeah.
No, I think that's important to note just in general, where if, like when I was talking about Etrian is a game where you don't have to use status effects. If you just want to slaughter everything mercilessly, if we're talking about like negative status effects, you can do that. You're probably going to have to use some of the positive ones, but you can definitely get away with skipping the negative ones. Yeah. But if you want to use them, they also work well. But like you're saying in Trials, like you don't need to use them, and plus they really don't function as well on you, or what you using them as they do when an enemy uses them on you. And I think that's the next thing I want to talk about here.
Definitely.
Is what are some games where it really breaks the experience? And like, if you have a story of frustration, I want you to share it here. I want to hear Jason's first. My example is actually about Jason.
What?
So I want to see if he says the game that I'm thinking of first. So Jason, what is an example for you of when we see these games where these status effects and buffs and debuffs are just ruining it?
That's funny. I have no idea what you're going to say, because I don't know if I have like a super specific, like this really sticks out in my mind example. When I think about it, when it gets ruined, I think it's when you lose all your like agency to do anything with that character, and there's like nothing else that they can do. Like it really frustrates me. So examples would be in Mario RPG, because you're playing it, Patrick, or Scott's playing it. Is it Mushroom? When you become a mushroom, and I think Final Fantasy has Frog. Like, I really don't like those ones. And then I also
at least for Frog you can do something. Like Frog, you can turn yourself out of, or you can use items. You can turn yourself out of Frog. With mushroom, you're just like, they're a cute little mushroom, healing hit points every turn.
Granted, he looks really great. Like, what a cute mushroom. But that one is so frustrating because I feel like you get punished for just not having an item ready or something like that. And when I'm a kid, like I didn't know I needed it. Like I might know now, so I look and I'm like, okay, I'll buy that just in case. But like that would really take me out of the experience. I would hate it. And I also feel like this isn't quite the same for like when the enemy uses it versus you. But I feel like there are competitive games that you could play. Like, let's talk about Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Where like I would never use poison against like a wild Pokemon. But if I'm playing PvP against like you, KBash, poison might be useful because like maybe you would have to deal with that.
Toxic is super useful in Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. But like, but it's
useful.
not as useful like if you're just playing solo. Like you might
True,
not, it might not be as viable. And so I feel like when you see that aspect, and I'm like, okay, clearly this game is balanced for two different things. It also just makes me think like, what is my experience here? Because then I have a Pokemon like, I don't know, Weezing, who has Toxic. I think he did at least one point. And so like, why would I use him unless I'm playing PvP? So you lose aspects of the entire game, and that just hella frustrates me.
Pokemon's a great example, though. Like,
yeah, I also have topics for Pokemon later, but you please
I mean,
go.
just like thinking about how sleep and freeze impact the entire. Like, first of all, how freeze or frozen is just annoying. Like, I tacked on basically what amounts to an instant death move, unless you're like you have access to burn heal. And disregarding that, sleep is just so easy to put on so many moves. Like competitive play, it just destroys so much. But whatever about that. We were talking. Oh yeah, I want to talk about Bloodborne for half a second, because Bloodborne is like in my top 10, or at least I keep thinking it is. But I realized when I talked about it when I did a video on it, I was super like, I was really nitpicky about a lot of things, and it's like, why is that? And then it's like, there's an ailment called frenzy where you just see an eyeball monster.
Oh, I hate it. And I hate it. You're triggering me.
It builds up, and then you take like what 75% HP for no reason except that you did not have a heal for frenzy, or you didn't duck around a corner fast. It's just ridiculous.
It's literally like your insanity. Like you have an insanity meter. And when your insanity gets too high, you just take, like you said, a flat from your max hit points damage. And there are enemies that cause it, because it's very like mythos, Lovecraftian monster
Eldritch.
Freaking out. But it's so frustrating too, because you can kill those monsters and they're still impacting on you for like 10 seconds after they're dead. And you're like, why is this a thing? Like, why is it?
That monster was just that creepy, dude. He needs to sit in your mind.
What about Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, where you get cursed by the and then you're just 50% debuffed until you walk because there's no fast travel at that particular point. The first time you encounter it, you have to walk all the way back up to the
like in the sewers, right?
And you don't even know that you can go back there probably unless you went online, which is like, why did you do that? And it used to stack.
It's not even a get good thing. You know what I mean? It's not like something where you can, this boss is hard, but I'll eventually learn. It's you were just punished and thoroughly punished, because that status effect does not go away, like you said, until you cure it. Which every other status effect in the game when you die goes away. But that one is like, no. Fuck you.
You idiot. You walked into a cloud. You bozo. It's just like, what?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
I remember my first time playing Dark Souls 1 and literally restarting the game and not falling in those pits, because you can skip that entire section of where the basilisks are that cause curse, and like just completely subvert that, because it's just that frustrating for newer gamers. So Jason, when we were
what
in
is this
college,
story? I gotta know.
We were doing our Final Fantasy marathon.
Okay, I was thinking. I'm thinking Final Fantasy or Persona. Those are the games like I know I played when you were there. So
you started with Final Fantasy and Mystic Quest, I believe, before you went through the actual Final Fantasies. And albeit like no one plays Final Fantasy Mystic Quest anymore unless they want to listen to those sweet.
Spoil it. Just spoil it.
But you only have two party members when you're fighting at all times. It's your character and a guest member. And I feel like in a lot of these other games, when you get status effects, one of your 4 or 5 party members can heal you, and it sucks when it happens, but it's fine. But status effects, the fewer characters that you have, the more frustrating it goes. And there's like 3 to 4 different status effects in that game that are basically an instant death. And I remember you just like trying to grind out monsters, Jason, and not like losing your shit, but like you were getting frustrated. I don't blame you, because these enemies, they kept on petrifying you or instant deathing you all in the same battle. And like, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's not a game where you can equip an accessory and all of a sudden you're good. Like, here you are, and it is consistently happening as you're like, there aren't random encounters, but there's these places on the map where you just go to, and like if you clear it, you get a reward, but there are no accessories to block the status effects. there are only potions to recover for them. So basically, if you're not faster than the monster and you don't kill them and they use it, like you just keep dying. And some of them could use it on both of your party members. So it's just like boom, 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 like game over, game over, game over, game over. It's just so
I remember now, and I'm like, I know why I blocked this out of my mind because it was fucking stupid. And like
it's so stupid.
It's because you have no choice. And I remember just being like, God, and I think I was emulating it, and I think I had like the speed mod, so I was grinding faster, and I just like, oh my God, like I can't even put it into words. So like when you don't even have an option to do anything with the status effect, what is the point?
Yeah,
like there's no reason it would be there. Like they might as well just say this monster is going to kill you, and like there's no other choice. Like it's just not well done. Yeah. Thanks for opening up old ones.
Sorry, I like it's not very often where you would. I'll just say like lose your
where you would
cool,
play Mystic Quest. It's true.
It's not like you were like escalated like smashing things, but I equate it to the equivalent of Jason Smash because it's it is so frustrating.
Yeah,
and so I guess like whittling this conversation down even more. Maybe before we take a quick break. What is that one status effect that is just like, fuck this status effect? Like it is the one, it appears maybe in, I guess it doesn't have to appear in multiple games, but what is your like one that is like, fuck this?
Me first. So
okay.
it was in my intro. I hate confusion in Pokemon. It is the stupidest thing. And I think it's dumb because as far as I know, I don't think you can cure it. And then
you can in newer games.
Perfect. I don't play all the time.
Maybe
so
from
that's
like
good.
Gen 6 or on, I think a full restore.
That's like 4 gens past what I played because I'm old. Anyways, hated that. And then I hate that it's not actually a status effect because it goes with other status effects. So you could be like paralyzed and confused. And I'm like, well, how is this even fair? And then again, I feel like it never works in my favor. I think I might have told you this, Patrick, too, when we did our Nuzlocke challenge, how much I hate confusion. And I did a tally of how often I would get confused and still attack. It was like 65% I would hurt myself. And I'm like, how is this fair? It is not fair. I hate that one so much. Like with a passion, I would honestly say it's not a huge reason, but it's definitely an impactful reason why I don't play Pokemon that often. I just do not like that status effect. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox. You can go ahead.
Anybody else? When I get confusion, I hurt myself.
It's true. It's sad.
Okay, KBash,
I don't have as good of an answer because that's just the or answer. But like, I'm honestly gonna give it to paralysis because I cannot personally stand every game I've played where paralysis is like you lose your weapon or you can still move but you can't do anything about it, and it's like, why am I playing this stupid game?
Why am I playing?
Let me hit. You know, it's like,
yeah.
I'm trying to even think of a game where paralysis is like because there are in Pokemon we think of it as like you have a % chance to not do anything, but you can still do stuff. But in other games, you'll just lose your like weapon, or like your character won't have a weapon in hand or something. I'm trying to remember even what I'm thinking of, but either way, I don't care for it. Stupid. Also Frenzy, but like whatever.
Frenzy. Yeah. So I don't know if this one counts completely as a status effect, but I'm gonna throw it in there because like technically it does. It just doesn't feel like one. But instant death for me.
Yeah. Doom or something.
No, not even Doom. Like his Doom's manageable. Like you got that timer. You can work with that. There have been some great bosses that are built on like you only have this much time to beat this boss. But just like flat out, I hit you. I didn't kill you with the damage that I did, but here's this little sneak coming in and just knocking you out completely. And you have to have that instant death accessory to completely block it.
Yeah.
And so many games use that. And it's like, what world do we live in that this
takes all strategy away?
Like,
I think
it really does.
People can't see us as this is a podcast. But Patrick is literally like hands on temple, like so upset right now.
Dude, that's Shining in the Darkness, though, for the Sega Genesis. There's like, because you're a 3-man party and you'll walk around a dungeon. One death means going back home because there's no way you're gonna make it on your own. You can open a chest, ghost pops out, instant death kills you, like you or your party, and it's like, why is this in the game? Who did this? You're demented. Like, it is.
And I think honestly that's a part of it too, where a lot of these games that have instant death, whether it's the SMT series or it's the Shining series or Phantasy Star, early Final Fantasies, they don't give you Dragon Quest, they don't give you the means to revive characters as readily as like some other series do, so they hurt that much more, because now you're just kind of like, cool, this boss can cast instant death and I don't learn the life spell until like halfway through the game, and you don't get to buy resurrection items, so like what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like oh, it makes me so mad. Just hate that status effect so much.
I feel
you too.
Well, on that note, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
We need to cool off. Give us a minute.
Oh my god.
Okay, we are back from our break, ready to go. I think we've all leveled our heads and cooled off. So we'll talk about something a little bit less triggering, if you will, and maybe we'll talk about the unique status effects, something that's kind of specific to a certain game or series, or something that's not just poison you see all across the board. Anything stand out for the two of you?
Oh, I'm ready. Okay.
Do it.
Game Boy Color, there's a game called Magi Nation, which you...
Magi Nation.
Get,
no one talks about this game.
You can get inflicted
That was
with...
an early video for you too.
No, please God. That's the worst video ever. Jesus Christ.
Watch that video.
I had no idea how to make videos. There's a hiccups ailment, and it's just your... Do you get hiccups? Which it's not that impactful or interesting. It's just kind of cute in this game that's like mostly cute, but also there's horrible, twisted, corrupted monsters. So it's like, that's nice. The one I actually want to talk about, though, is Gungnir, because it's the game that's like, we build ourselves with like the PSP game. It's like, we have 40 some status ailments. Check all this stuff. And then you like go online and it's like, what are the Gungnir status ailments? And it's like, airism, you like are moderately more affected by air element, and it's like, it's not like it's a bunch of junk, you know what I mean? And so like maybe 10 ailments in the entire game of all 40 or whatever they build themselves with are like actually relevant, like slippery, where you can randomly slip into a space in a tactical game, which is pretty cool. I think that's fun, or at least interesting.
I'm looking at them now, batrified.
yeah, and so that's the thing, some of them are cool. Some of them are character specific. There's like Pam Dream and Pam Virus, which I don't know.
Yeah, Pam Virus. What?
Pam.
But like,
you become Pam.
Yeah. The
Karen
one,
Virus.
The one that is kind of cool is Scapegoat, because it functions in a tactical game, which there's no aggro for this like tank mage thief setup or whatever. But Scapegoat, basically, if you stick it on someone, like they'll take damage directed at other people on their team, which is great. That's what tanking is. So it's like, that's cool that they put that in. Good job, Gungnir.
Earthbound has entered the chat.
I knew you were going to talk about this.
This game just has so many good ones that I feel like they're like really just twists on other game status effects, but I think it's just how they modernized it for like Earthbound kind of like being our society. Homesick being, I think, one of the ones that I think is really cool, just because that every time that catches you in the feels, like you get homesick, the only way to cure it is to call your mom. I just think that is the greatest thing. The game doesn't even tell you that you get this status effect until you're in battle, and then Ness, your main party member, will just like stop doing things, and they'll be like, Ness is thinking of home, and literally the only way to cure it is to call mom. Like I just love that so much. And the rest of them are like, you know, you get a cold instead of poison. Like there's poison in the game, but it's basically the same thing. Or you can get a mushroom on your head, which is kind of confusion, but also outside of battle you have to use the opposite directions on the D-pad to move around. So it's like really messing with you. Outside of Earthbound, I think Sekiro has a really good one in which completely you've played Sekiro.
No, I was waiting for it.
Enfeebled.
The old man
game.
Okay.
When you're like
the old man one.
So there's Jason, because I know you're never
I haven't
play
played
this
it
game.
No, I want to. I really want to.
There's a section of the game, and it's towards the end of the game, where I would say things would really start to get stale. And the way that they break it up are there are these enemies that if they catch you or they like do whatever they do, they will make you old.
Okay.
And you basically like just can't do anything at that point. So it really changes that part of the game where it becomes a lot more stealth assassin as opposed to rush in, block
tanking it
everything,
all.
and kill. Like, you really have to be a lot more intentional about your play style. And it sucks when it happens to you because you're like, fuck, I'm old now. And like, welcome to real life. I can't.
That's what happened to me when I turned 35.
Yeah, literally. But like, I think it is just a very interesting part. What do you think? What do you think about KBash?
No, I just Enfeeblement's like weird to even talk about because the first time I played Sekiro, I didn't even encounter it. Like, I was just like, oh, cool, I can jump in. No.
Okay, I get it. I'm just bad.
No, I
just pulled his gamer card
I
out,
genuinely
Patrick.
suck at Sekiro, and like my first playthrough was abominable, but I was so like angry and caffeinated at that point in the game. I was just like, fuck this shit, and it just like killed everyone. But I went back on playthrough 2 and like did get enfeebled, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
what
happened?
New Game Plus only?
Like,
what?
seriously, so much stuff you'll miss just playing one time. I've learned over the years. It's really crazy. In all kinds of games. Anyway.
Yeah, like that good ending that you're probably not getting on the first time.
Very true. at all. Like, oh, man.
Why do you guys think, and I feel like this is probably the question that goes through every gamer's minds, and why people flat out refuse to use them. But like, why do you think they're more effective when enemies use them versus when you use them? And this might be more of a time period thing, because I don't necessarily know if it is like that as much now. I don't know if I actually don't play that too many newer JRPGs. But what do you guys think? Like, why is it so much more effective? What the enemies get to use them than when you use them?
God. I have to say words. Like, so
do you want to say words first? Go ahead.
I could be off base, but my belief is that ailments in general, like JRPGs, were rooted in originally Dungeons and Dragons, if I'm not mistaken, or like its foundations.
Yeah.
So in Dungeons and Dragons specifically, players and monsters are very different. You know, you will not run often into a fighter on the battlefield unless the DM is doing some weird business, because, you know, players and player characters have to feel unique or innately like distinguished in the world, whereas monsters are like things you'll fight in hordes and kill many of and not like be on equal footing with. So they have to be different. And this also applies to games where you're fighting hordes of monsters and they have to not be the player. They have to just be the mooks or the goons or whatever. So ailments are a great way, and you'll see it in the monster manual too in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, a lot of monsters have ailments tacked on, but also in JRPGs, that like, this is a great way, ailments, to take away player, how do I say this? To disadvantage the player or to annoy the player or to harry the player without actively like beating their head in with constant equal fights. Because like, if you were fighting a full party that was like your level all the time, or like running into variations of that, it would not, like, it would be a very strange game, a very like boutique experience, like something intentionally designed for, I don't know, something that some weird dev came up with that is not like reflective of what the meta of JRPGs actually looks like. I think of stuff like Darkest Dungeon, I think, where like that game is like, everything is very, very punishing, but it's also not horrendously popular, probably because it speaks to some people, but not everyone. So anyway, the meta, I don't know. I think it's like accounted for how people look at games and the history of games writ large. Anyway, I could go on, but I feel like I'm rambling at this point.
No.
No, you're good.
You're onto some things I definitely want to like think about, especially when we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I think the only thing that I would question is that in Dungeons and Dragons, it is one of those games where like the likelihood that you could use a status effect on an enemy is close to
True.
what an enemy could use on you.
Yes.
So
someone should tell my orc barbarian that. Sorry, go on.
Hey-o.
I almost feel like there was just a period from Nintendo, like the NES to PS2 and maybe beyond, where like they were a box to check, but they weren't balanced. Like, we have status effects because games have status effects, and here they are. But like, there's not really that thought of, but how are we going to ingrain them into the experience to make them a part of it? Because I don't, there are some times where it's just kind of like this, even like Bravely Default, this poison spell is not going to work. Like, just make my black mage a black mage and let it throw lightning around and blow things up. Like, because it doesn't need to be there. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat with KBash. Thinking of the origins, for sure, I think it is D&D. And to Patrick's point, I think there are lots of people that make games that check the box. It's an RPG. We need to have a poison spell. We need to have a fire spell. So they check them off. But I think that the reason why it's a lot different is it's very hard to, well, I'm not a game developer, so I don't know. But I'm thinking that it must be very difficult to scale this game with player character avatar strength. So as you like keep getting stronger, if your spell stays the same, how do you ramp up that spell?
Yeah.
Like if it's, let's just pick on poison. So if it's poison from the beginning, like Dark Cloud, but then it's poison at the end of the game, 80 hours later, like it's not really effective. So I think that in order to change that, the developers will implement either Poison 2, Poison 3, I don't know, Virus, like a different version of it to make it more effective, because then you always have that fear of, oh shoot, I need to deal with this. And if you don't, then you're going to die. You're going to lose.
Being someone who uses status effects, like I will always, whenever I play an RPG, like test the waters and see how effective they are. But you know, what we're talking about, like in boss battles or final bosses, they don't work. And I think that's where I have the biggest issue, and that's where I want to drag like Etrian into this conversation, because Etrian's final boss always has status effects that you can use on it. It's just about the length of how long it can stay on them until it dissipates. So like I think the final boss of Etrian 5 can be blinded, and that's only helping you with so many moves, but it's still an option for you.
It's something.
And I don't mean like in the sense that you should be able to do this permanent status effect on these bosses that, like, you know, one hit KO or the next best thing. But I mean, like, what is wrong with building them so at least there's some function? Like, yeah, maybe when you get the poison status effect, it does 20% damage to you, but maybe on a boss it does like 3, because their hit points are so much more. You feel like you're still making a little bit of that ground. I love debuffing classes a lot, so like for me it is frustrating when you're playing some of these games, and I'm definitely like looking at Final Fantasy Bravely. I think a lot of those you just can't. Dragon Quest now, I know Dragon Quest 11 has it where even some of the status effects you can use on bosses like sleep and whatnot. And I think like this, one of the super bosses in Dragon Quest 8, you can just full on lockdown with sleep, but you really have to like go all in on it. But like, again, it's not like you're asleep, you're always asleep and I can just cast spells because that never wakes you up. They have like a ticker, and once that ticker's up, like they're awake again, and they're bosses, so they're gonna be awake a lot faster.
You know, and like before I lose this thought too, I'm just surprised I haven't even thought about this yet, but usually there's like one boss but like 4 party members. So like they often split it out that way too. So like if it was like, you know, the party members' weakness or like level of poison against the enemy, it would do nothing. So it makes sense they would scale it that way, so it's a bit stronger and dire, because otherwise, you know, it doesn't matter if one person just is poisoned, and it doesn't really matter too much. It just won't do anything.
Action parity matters.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
So let's switch this up a little bit. We have spent a lot of time talking about negative status effects for the most part. I also want to talk about, and you brought this up at the beginning of the episode, KBash, which I think is like important, positive status effects. How does this conversation look when we flip it to positive in terms of like everything we've said? Are they balanced? Do you use them? Can they really break the experience? Like, what are your thoughts when we talk about positive status effects?
It depends on the game. It's always contextual. I'm thinking of stuff like, there are games, modern JRPGs, and even some old ones. I'm thinking of Xenogears, where like there's a boss who will throw up his guard, and if you attack into him, he'll pummel you. Like, and so you now have a window to use your attack boost, because normally you're like, I just want to.
Is that Ramses?
Yeah.
Is that Ramses? Yeah.
He knew. But other things too. I keep using I want to talk about Trials also a little bit, because Trials of Mana, the remake, I love, because it gives players all those options. Like, you don't have to use any status effects, negative or positive otherwise. You don't have to buff or debuff anyone, because you can just go around whacking people with your sword or your fists. But if you want to, you can. And that brings up a whole team building issue, because if you go down one route with the Lancer Reese, she gets the chance to debuff, or sorry, let's say buff one party member, or buff everyone in the party, which, like, that sounds obvious. I should buff everyone in the party. But if it's an attack buff, what if it only hits your melee people, so it won't hit your spellcasters? So it is contextual based on the team you've picked. That game is incredible. So anyway, this is to say that ailments or positive stuff, I guess I'm going to say it's contextual in the game. And, you know, age is another thing. In Pokemon, I certainly never used them growing up. But when I got older, I realized like nasty plot is just straight broken, like, and other stuff or whatever, you know?
Belly drum and steamroll. Yeah, I feel like they make the experience of a game a lot more than negative status effects do, just because it's more about building at that point, which can be a little bit more exciting. I also think that they just as much break an experience, but they do in a completely different way. Like
opposite direction of it.
Back to Etrian, just as a big example, you can stack effects like over and over, so your characters can only have so many positive status effects on them, but all three of the status effects that you have on them can be three different attack increases. And like there are videos of Etrian boss one hit where like literally someone will just do like
hella buffed that person,
tens of thousands of damage on a boss. And it's awesome in a way because like here you are with this plan of how I'm going to beat this enemy and like what my team does in order to make that happen. But I think sometimes I don't like it when it can make things obsolete. You know, I think there's like, make this a plan, but don't just like completely break the experience, because I think the reality there for gaming, like that's what takes me out of it. It's like, this is just a numbers game at this point. You know, there's like you were saying contextually, like I feel like that element is just gone at this point.
Yeah, I think my last comment I want to bring up is actually a recent example that Laura was playing. She was doing one of the Atelier games on PS4. Quality notwithstanding, I think as you get to the bosses, you do need to incorporate all of your positive status effects. So like that game incorporates like an environment that you're in, and you need to be in the right environment to do the most damage, to have the most effective spells that you've made, yada yada. So like seeing that connection of, okay, this, then this, then this, then this, because that's like how you have to beat the boss. I wasn't playing the game, but it looked really satisfying to know like, and you make the items too. That's what the game is about. So like developing that strategy and seeing how the positive boost to your characters can be one of, if not the only way that you can actually beat the boss, is again really satisfying. It's a good player experience. So I think when that's also thought of for development, it makes sense. Like that it's used in such a way that it enhances the experience, as opposed to just like, you could do it if you want to, but you don't have to. But in this case, it's like, this is how you do it. Have fun. Hope you win. And it was good.
Okay. I like that. There's something to say about that, the way positive and like incorporating those elements into your play can create good feels. That's the best part. Positive. It's all about that positive mental mindset.
Positive vibes, man.
Holy.
I just remember being a kid and like never using them unless I was playing Dragon Quest, because Dragon Quest has oomph, and oomph doubles your attack status. Like you basically like have to use it, because bosses would be such a slog if you weren't doing the double damage that your characters can do. But sometimes like, you know, I just don't feel good about using it because they're so broken. Like Final Fantasy 12 has two very broken status effects. As Bubble, which doubles your hit points. Like just full on double. So you go from 3,000, 4,000 to 8,000. And then reverse, which anytime you take damage, you heal. You basically become like undead, but not actually undead. So like every time you get hit, you just recover unless they're casting healing spells on you. And it doesn't last for very long, but you can just have one character constantly just like throwing out reverse, and like you're not taking any damage. And it takes the fun away. It's almost like playing Diablo when like nothing can hurt you, and every time you attack you just kill everything. So it's like
you're healing all the time.
And you're healing all the time. Like I heal 5,000 hit points per second. Like this is fun. This is fun. Like no, it takes the fun away.
It's funny because 5,000 hit points per second healing is actually like not even good. Like you should be like double, triple that.
Okay,
like,
first run through.
There you go.
All right, to wrap this up, because we are experts in the field, what I want us to do is take some of these like common status effects that you would see in games and make them better. So like poison or paralyze or sleep or silence, like let's take some of them, workshop them, and be like, okay, Square Enix, go, this is yours now, you got this. Who wants to start? What's one that we can fix up?
Go ahead.
Okay, fine, I will go for it. So poison for me, if I had to fix that one, and I feel like this is one that would kind of get rid of that I only have 40 hit points and I'm level 3, like, and it's like a flat, you just lose hit points, so you lose like 30 hit points and you're dead. Instead of that, I think I would want to start slow but get progressively worse. So like the first time
it's building up.
Yeah, the first time you take poison damage, it's kind of like toxic in or badly poisoned in Pokemon. Where like it does 1/8 of your hit points, and then it does a 1/4 of your hit points, and then it does like 3/8 of your hit points. So like every turn it scales up, it gives you the opportunity to be like, I can soak up a turn's worth of damage, or like I need to get rid of this because, you know, the boss is going to also throw out his next big move. It changes it just a little bit more, so that way there's a little bit of some strategy in there, and it's not just like this flat, cool, I'm dead, okay, or I'm at the end of the game and poison is just a moot point because, you know, like, oh, it does 5 hit points of damage and I have 400 hit points.
Just tank it.
Yeah, like what does it even matter that I'm poisoned? So that is how I would fix that one.
I would say for poison, that's kind of interesting. I feel like I don't want to besmirch the good name of old era JRPG design necessarily, because I don't know if I'm capable in this case, but I haven't got an idea. But
does that not what the K stands for? Does the K stand for capable?
Capable.
Woof. I feel like in an action context, if for a poison effect, you might do something like BioShock 2. This is going to sound stupid, but in BioShock 2, there's, I forget what happens if you screw up and cause an alarm to happen, but you can turn it off with a really quick mini game that feels like incredible to land like successfully in real time. So like if you were poisoned after the battle, you have to like stitch up your wounds or like do the kit thing, and it's a little mini game.
Interesting.
But like you're dying in a game where it's like actually gonna be lethal, like Dark Cloud or something. So it's like, because that feeling of like just barely navigating to survival through a series of dexterous inputs feels really great. Now I'm coming from an action context. I love actiony games, fighting games, etc. I can't help it. And poison, it's I don't know. Poison's weird, man. I haven't got much to say. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna come down.
It's the Rattata of sound.
Yeah, no, like that is still a really good idea though. Like compounding effects, I think, as you mentioned.
I got ideas.
Because otherwise it's just like a raw tick or like a percentile thing or like a building. You know what I mean? And it's like, whatever. This is just numbers.
Yeah. Like no matter any other way, it just sounds very like, well, it's not impactful or it's too impactful.
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
that is a nice
figure out a way where, Jason,
that's
you want to fix one?
Yeah, that's almost what I would say too. And it's for the ones that we talk about that like take away all autonomy of a character. So like the transform ones, but we could pick on the basic one, which I think is like mute, where like the caster can't cast anymore and they're like useless. Similar to Patrick, I think find a middle ground where like if I don't deal with it, then I'm really muted, but maybe for like a round or two, like I can only cast my first level spells, or like it just halves my MP, like something like that. So at least there's still viability, because otherwise like it's so detrimental. But it's frustrating like to see it. So I'm thinking if you could build it up that way, it would be really
literally
cool.
Like they're not okay. Modern era game design takes those things into consideration, right? But old era stuff doesn't. It doesn't care about agency, but new era stuff. So it's like, why don't we do more of that? I saw a DM, a dungeon master, on YouTube talk about leveling down a Medusa, because it's like, this is this high level monster you don't normally encounter, and they were like, well, if it was level 6, how would its like petrify work? And they were like, they said what you did.
It wouldn't.
Which was that the petrify would slow you, and then it would stop you in place, and then it would eventually petrify you on 3 fail checks, which was really cool, I thought. You know, that is viable.
Instead of just like, actually, I think that's I wanted to talk about Petrify too, and that's one, honestly, I think Final Fantasy IV does really well for that reason, because like you said, it's a slow Petrify, and you can actually see it on your character, where you have about like three to 4 rounds until they're fully petrified, and it starts with like their legs, and that's halfway up the torso, and your character can still do everything, but like the more it builds up, the
But
closer
Doom is coming.
yeah, it's kind of like a Doom, but also your character's not dead. You can just cure it, and then they're and unpetrify them. But it at least takes that like when you were playing Mystic Quest, Jason, like you're petrified, you're stoned over, like you're just done.
You can't do anything else.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, there's many ways that you could fix Mystic Quest, but that's that's a topic all on its own.
Or like, paralyze. We're talking about like, well, you can't do this. Even in Pokemon, what if it was like you can't use physical moves, but you can use special moves? Or in other games, you can't physically attack, but you can still use magic because maybe it doesn't require you to move to use. It's kind of like the opposite of Mute, where for Mute, you can still physically attack and do things, but you can't use magic. So like, what's the flip of this, so that way again it's not just because I think a part of the problem that I have with a lot of status effects is they're just pretty much the same, like paralyze, sleep, petrify, a lot of them just basically do the exact same thing. They just have a very minor difference. Like, let's give them a pretty major difference that really like locks it into something else, so that way you're like, oh, but there's still something that I can do.
I have one more, if we can go over one more, and I think it's it's again to the modern idea like KBash was talking about, but trying to have developers think of ways to incorporate something unique that is gamey to the video game, which would immediately make it not a competitive thing because it wouldn't really be fair. But like, what if, for example, like Patrick, you mentioned in Earthbound, you get that mushroom on your head and everything is backwards. Like all your controls are backwards. Like play with the idea of the controller. Dragon's Dogma with like the vision issue that comes through when you're blinded, like more stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, in the future, if there's a game that has like a paralysis or something, like you physically can't use the X button, like something like that, like would be kind of neat. And I don't
it's
know.
Like that one boss battle in Super Mario RPG against the bow guy, and like
he pierces,
does status effects, but he locks. Have you played it?
No,
KBash?
sorry.
So there's this boss, it's like the third major boss in Super Mario RPG, and he legitimately, like, the Y button, X button, and A button are in front of you in this boss battle.
And he like shoots an arrow at it.
He'll shoot an arrow at it, and if he shoots an arrow at it, you can't use that. So X is locked to items. So if he locks X, you can't use healing items. Or Y is special moves, so you can't use special moves. Or A is like just regular attack. And that's like, is that kind of what you're saying, Jason? Where it's kind of like
Like they know it's a game, so like play with the gaminess of it, and I think that's pretty neat. And yeah, it creates really unique experiences because I hadn't thought about that, Patrick, but I immediately know it's the boss in the forest when you're trying to get Geno, and he shoots the arrows. Like it creates a neat experience, and that's what makes it really fun. At least to me, that's what kind of stands out as a neat status effect change.
Also, just play Super Mario RPG.
Well, I mean, obviously,
it's such a good game.
The backlog.
Okay, well, I am experiencing the status effect of exhaustion, so I think it's time to take a little bit of a break, and we will be right back in just a few minutes. But we'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell us over on Instagram and Twitter at HeyRPGaymer, and then don't forget, we have our Discord. We always chat about games over there, too. Leave us a review if you like this podcast and like talking about status effects. We'd love to know your thoughts. We're going to take a break. We will be right back. Okay, we are back. We're here for our middle segment. We're going to talk about what you're playing, current games that you're playing right now, and a little Navi Fairy told me that Patrick and I might be playing the same game right now.
Patrick? Let's let KBash go first. Then
we'll save it for
we'll save it.
KBash first.
Yeah, give us a couple of minutes. What are you playing right now?
I'm playing Xenogears. And okay, look, that sounds.
You say it so begrudgingly. Ugh.
Like I was playing like Neo before this, and I was expecting. I wanted to go into a JRPG for save my hand. So that was So Xenogears. I don't even know what to say. My mind has been blown about 8 times. I've vacillated wildly between it's so over and we're so back. Like, constantly playing this game, it shunted me out, like kicked me out of playing more times more quickly than most other games I've played. I don't want to call it, it's not bad. I'm not like miserable playing it. I'm just like tired. It's very like, and you know,
very taxing.
Though I want to blame my schedule because I'm like sitting here doing the 7-day a week nonsense and night, and it's like now it's 9 p.m. time to play some Xenogears after wrapping my work day. It's like just not very enjoyable.
It's not fun.
Though
it definitely like there's such a drag to a lot of those stories where like you have to be in the mood for that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with those old ones. Oh my gosh, if you're not ready for it, you're just gonna be so
I'm
sad.
digging Choo Choo and the animations though. Like just that's really it. Oh, the game was cool also. I've clipped it a bunch on Twitter because I'm enjoying it. Play Xenogears and then play Xenoblade. Or either order, because the people who hype up the one first aren't considering that doesn't really matter.
You gotta jump into Xenosaga.
I know.
No Xenosaga.
I'm going into Saga right after, or like a month after.
Oh, wonderful! Like,
have fun
so
with
good.
that.
We're having fun. We have fun here.
Well, as Jason hinted, we are both playing Tears of the Kingdom because at the time of recording, this just released.
Just dropped. Yep.
Jason, what are your thoughts so far?
Game of the year, 100%. Oh my god. No. I mean, it might be. It's pretty great. I'm only maybe 5 or 6 hours in, but it's a game where it's hard to measure progress. Like, you know, like what do you really say? But
are you out of the tutorial area?
Yeah, definitely out of the tutorial. Which was a great tutorial, by the way. They did a really good job explaining it. But I think so many parallels to Breath of the Wild. So if you played that game, you essentially played this one. But the things they added, I'm happy they're there because I think that it enhances the experience. So I was a little afraid that Tears might have been Breath of the Wild like 1.5, like where it's just more of the same world and you just go out and do stuff. I do feel like at least right now there's a significant enough changes where it feels at least like a 1.75, like it's moving towards the direction of being this is its own fully fledged game. My only real concern there is if you didn't like Breath, you really won't like this one.
You will not like this one.
It's very, very similar. But I still get a nice sense of fantasy and like wonder of what's happening next. And I want to call out, I feel like the world, the land of Hyrule and the skies above, look a little bit more thought out with what is placed where. And there's not a lot of just openness in its areas, which I felt like was a concern with Breath of the Wild. For example, sometimes you'll leave your shrines and there will be a like lost Korok like right in front of you, like signifying this is something you could do immediately after, like if you want to keep going. And there's a lot of stuff like that. So a lot of little things where you just know I can go here next. I could do this next. What is that in the distance? And it was there.
The little padding things, I kind of think of what you're saying, where in Breath of the Wild, it was like, do this miscellaneous task that you randomly have to stumble upon if you know what to do. Where this one is, there are people and things that are having you do these little side things.
Exactly.
And it makes it more of a world instead of a game.
Right. I agree. And it's not going to be like a huge Skyrim-y event because it never was supposed to be, but it feels at least like I'm not just kind of wandering from major event to major event and stumbling upon stuff. It's like, here's a major event I want to get to, but look at all this side stuff I could do. Like, and that feels really fun.
Without feeling
really
like
good.
Filler. Like, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. What about you? What are your first few takeaways?
I will say this is the best puzzles that I've done.
Yeah.
Like the puzzles are incredible, and the new additions to the game on how you solve the puzzles are so much fun. To the point where like even Scott, I think, is a little jealous that I'm playing it because like we're all about puzzle games and just the way you can solve them and mechanics behind it is very fun. I will say there is a mini boss that you can fight in the tutorial area that's optional. It was the best mini boss that I have ever fought in any game ever.
Oh shit!
Really?
Did you fight him, Jason?
I think I might have. You need to go across that river first. Is that what you're talking about?
It's on a big circular platform in the tutorial area.
Right.
Okay. Yep, I will not spoil it, but I will say that this mini boss was just so good about switching up how you beat it, where the entire battle was just so dynamic. And it was just excellent. And again, I don't want to spoil it for people and listeners, but like I won't be like game of the year, but I'll say like this game is an improvement. And if you enjoyed Breath of the Wild, you really like Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
Okay. KBash, do you want to know about that mini boss that made it cool?
Yeah.
He's a
Do it.
Rubik's Cube.
Oh.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, basically,
but like he can disassemble into different forms. So like he can make himself look like a robot kind of
Okay.
thing, or what's another thing that he turns into, Jason?
Was he like a weapon of some type? I can't.
Yeah, he
remember
can
what it
turn
was.
like he basically can, but only one of the squares on this
On his
Rubik's
body.
Cube guy is his weak point. So you
Right.
can't hit anything else aside from that one square. But like for a part of it, he's in like robot form, so like you got to hit his shoulder. When you hit his shoulder a few times, then he'll fall down and you can whack it. But when he's in the Rubik's Cube form, like all of a sudden he'll form up into a different form, and then he'll start like rolling at you like a cube would, and you
Yeah.
have to wait for that side of that cube
Yeah.
to shoot it with your bow,
Shoot an
or
arrow,
hit it
yeah.
or hit it however you're going to hit it. So like you are it's actively changing the battle as you're
That
doing
is
it,
incredible.
even though
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it
also-
was very cool.
I think the cool thing about it too, just to rant a little bit, is I'm always a sucker for good game design, and this isn't the tutorial level where it's going through like, here's how you use fuse, here's how you use all these other things, but it doesn't really tell you what to do in that one, but it's explaining advanced combat. So I think
Yeah.
if you're there, you understand, because once you jump down, like you're fighting enemies that might just fuck you up, and
Yeah.
so like having that, at least
The
it's
difficulty
really
is
neat.
definitely a lot harder in this one than it was. In
I
the
agree.
other one.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Combat feels better too.
And we are back for part 2 of our podcast, and as usual, we go and play a game. And Mr. KBash, in theme of this episode, we are going to make up some status effects and give them to each other, and we're going to describe what they do in hilarity and what you can do
Hopefully.
to remove that status effect. If you listen to KBash's other episode, in episode 2, we did something very similar for creating jobs and classes, but this time we're going to go ahead and do it for these status effects.
Cool.
I don't want to put you on the spot in terms of having to think creatively for the first one. So, KBash, if you want to give one of us a status
Sure.
effect first.
I'm looking at my big list of nonsense. Okay. Who am I?
List of
just
nonsense
wait.
sounds good.
You
Just
can
wait.
whoever you want, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth with each other.
Okay.
So you pick your
Okay, I'll
target.
lowball Jason.
I'm ready.
You've been onioned. You smelled onion.
Oh.
You smelled a lot of onion at once, and now you're tearing up.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
it.
Well, Jason loves onions, so I'm
Oh,
actually going to think
shit.
this is a positive status effect.
You would.
I would. Okay, so wait, am I actually an onion?
No, sorry.
Like, is
you
that-
literally just got the fattest whiff of onion, and now you're like your olfactory senses are like
Okay.
overreacting.
Okay. No, we'll be real. So it's going to be a negative status effect. I think it will elicit a crying like sub status where it's difficult to see the enemy, but not all the time. And in modern fashion, when it's my turn, the screen's a little bit blurry on the edges because of the tears in my eyes. And so when I'm attacking, characters that are around me might notice that, wow, he smells kind of like onions. Just like they just comment, but not enough to like make it socially awkward.
It
It's
also
just, like,
attaches itself to you.
No.
yeah, and the only way to get rid of it is if you sleep for at least 3 days, because it just embeds into your
Oh my
body.
God.
Also, you then gain the positive status effect of bad breath, and so you can now cast a spell where you go up to someone and slightly breathe on them, and they don't take any damage. They just feel bad
What
about
the
you. And yeah, there's that.
This is SpongeBob.
So it heals over time over 3 days, or if you use a toothbrush with a sensitive style toothpaste, you can actually heal it that way too. That's the item combo that you have to
I
do.
feel that. Okay.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah,
Onions
okay.
are powerful. Holy shit.
Yeah, onions they go both ways, you know. It just depends. That I'm assuming it's a wide onion. If it's
Yeah.
a yellow onion, a red onion, a sweet onion, it's
A
different.
bulbous albino onion.
There you go, there you go.
Sorry. I'm popping off.
Okay. I can give one. I'll give one to you, Patrick.
Yeah.
And I think this might be tailored to you because I feel like you might have a good response.
Yeah.
You've just been inflicted with lactose intolerance.
Okay, so lactose intolerance. You have 2 turns, and then on that third turn, there is a 50% chance that you shit yourself, which means you miss a turn, or there is a 50% chance that you emit the most foul gas possible, which poisons everyone on the field.
Hey, there you go. Teammates included?
Teammates included, everyone, unless you are immune. And then the only way to get rid of it is to have a prescription for lactate.
Lactate, yeah. Trademark.
Is the only way to block that sucker.
I like it.
Done.
The team is good.
Your status effect is that feeling you get after you just had sex.
That's curious. What?
You got this, buddy.
I'm just like, wait, because it's like that feels like it has to be positive inherently, but I'm like scared you're like veering into like post-nut clarity shame territory, which is like
you take it however you want to go.
Hey, all I literally wrote was quotation marks. I just had sex.
Okay, well,
you take that. Okay, you take that however you want. If you want to do post nut shame, you go right ahead.
I'm taking that as positive. Status change. I feel like it would give you either bravery or like an immunity to negativity. So this would make you immune to fear. It would make you immune to any other mental status ailment that would like otherwise affect your mind. I can only think of fear at this time. I'm trying to rifle through.
Yeah. Despair or something like that.
And I feel like it would probably, if I'm not give you like a small health regen effect over time, or like a single use, like, you know what I mean, cast on the player. Because like it is a healing vibe, you know? It is connecting with your primal self in a positive way. That sounds weird, but like
I like it.
And how to change it.
Yeah. Well, how would an enemy get rid of that?
I feel like it burns out, like we're talking like an hour tops, maybe. Like
yes, it's very quick.
And if an enemy were to erase it, they'd have to do something. I feel like that could easily be disrupted just by hitting you. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe not. Maybe it would have to be something like really undermines your ego or inflicts you with another status ailment. Yeah, like you get burnt and it's like, oh fuck, now I can't think about the happy times anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go, the immediacy is back of the real world.
Any other status effect, good or bad, removes it.
Breakup text.
Yeah,
is the...
or
breakup text.
I was gonna say something like you saw your taxes, or like you realize you forgot to pay your internet bill, and it's like, oh shit.
So basically, life is the
life got in the way.
Oh no, that's sad.
All right. KBash, why don't you go ahead and give one to me now?
I'm gonna give you. What am I gonna give you out of this list?
This could be gross. What am I gonna?
Oh jeez. Okay.
Yeah, what status effect are you?
Mine are really basic. That was more I'll give you like bloated. You ate too much food and you feel uncomfortable or self-conscious on account of the food that you ate.
That's just
Jesus Christ. No. Yeah. I mean,
so this party member can only exist on a row by themselves. No. So you know there's like
nice
front row, back row. So they can't be in a row with anyone else. So either it's like full party in front or full party in back. Their speed is down by 50, and then they have a 50% chance to cry about it. So that means they're like not focusing on their turn. So yeah, I would say that. Ways to remove it, again, I think lactate, just in case. That's what or any other form of like Pepto or anything like that. Any kind tummy meds.
I feel that.
Tummy
meds. Yeah, that's what it'd be called in Earthbound. Tummy meds.
Tummy meds. But yeah, I think that can only exist on a row by themselves would suck in a game, because it's either like, you know, if they're a hitter, they're only in the back row, not doing as much damage, or if they're a mage and they're the only person who can be in front, you're dead.
So my mind is thinking, how would someone get this status effect? So are you like forcing hamburgers down their mouth until
it veers into fetish territory, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So like,
or You know those games where like Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where there's just no penalty to how much food you eat. So you
Yeah, true.
Yeah, true. It could be like that. It could be like that. If you eat all those cheese wheels in Skyrim, you get you get bloated.
Okay, Jason.
I'm so nervous.
You should be, because your status effect is erectile dysfunction.
Oh my god.
Got it. Wow. You should have assumed you would go for sex across the entire board. Duh. Okay, so this also acts similarly to
You only can be in the
despair.
front row or the back row.
Despair and
You're a
loathing.
boner.
Yeah. Could only be in the front row or back row. Yeah, what else would happen? I think that it would impact every other stat, because your character would get this sort of like bummer status where like they feel bad. And
that's sad.
yeah, and it would also it doesn't go away because it is it's just persistent, and it actually develops as the game progresses. So as your characters get older, the more days you play, the higher chance that you would develop this status. And I think the impact in the game is that whenever, let's assume it's a medieval game, like a Dragon Quest. So whenever a character has it, when they equip like a sword or something larger, they always just go, "Oh," and then they feel bad about the attacks they have to do. To cure it, it's actually going to need medication, as it would in the real life.
Is this only if it lasts for more than 4 hours? Is that?
Yes, if it lasts more than 4 hours, exactly.
Okay.
But the medication in this world is, not. How do I want to put this? It's not just something that only is impacted insurance wise. Like, it's something that everyone can get readily available, because it should be a medicine that everyone can get and not be, strictly only used for men. So it's good. They have a good healthcare system. And you can use it, and then it doesn't go away all the time. It might come back, so you should keep some on hand at all times. It'll be either next to your antidotes.
If you were a spear user, your spear would just flop down.
Yeah. When you're fighting Sephiroth, you feel really bad about it.
My spear's gone flaccid.
Gone flaccid.
My phallic imagery.
All right. Yes, that's Patrick in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like dicks.
That's okay. I mean,
wow.
I feel it. I respect that.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. We're just popping off for real this time.
Welcome to the family, KBash.
Welcome. All right, I have one for KBash. This is another feeling one. You have just been inflicted with that Friday feeling when you just get off from work for a long weekend and it's payday.
Oh, wait, this one's also positive. Shucks.
Yeah.
Oh.
We actually heard you're going through a hard time, so we wanted to give you as many positive notes.
Yeah.
This one's hard because I have not been there for like years and years.
But okay, well, great. What do you imagine it would feel like?
It would probably feel like that song when was it Macklemore had $20 and was going thrifting. Like, that shit's epic. So like,
you're gonna pop some tags.
So, like, I don't know. Because I feel like I'm just gonna answer the like post-sex one, where it's like, this is just like a high value feeling. Like, I don't hate myself.
Mm-hmm.
Work is over. I can go home and binge video games or be a human being, depending on my life situation at that time. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I feel like you would have extra coinage, obviously, but like reflected in games, so you could now access the guild toss of whatever game you're playing. Like, you could shuck money at people, or like
nice.
Assassin's Creed 2, where you throw coins to like get beggars. So like you could, like get ailment, like hit enemies with like they're digging for coins that you threw on the ground. Other than that,
that's funny. Actually,
it would give you an inflated sense of self-worth. So again, you'd probably be immune to fleeing. You probably wouldn't be able to escape in battle. Like if you
like it. You're too proud.
That's right. If you tried to run.
Yeah, that's funny. That's actually funny. If like you got a status where you can't leave, you sucker yourself into this one.
Too cool. Oh my God.
Yeah, too cool.
Or I'm too good for that. Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I'm not bringing the chuckle. I'm just bringing the reasonable application in game design. Like, what the fuck?
No, that's fine.
Oh my God.
All right.
You got more? You got one for me? Is it? Yeah.
I'm reversing. Okay. You have been stricken with drinking 3 espressos consecutively.
That's funny. That's on my list is the caffeine addiction.
Yeah, I had over caffeinated too.
I just drank 3 espresos consecutively,
yeah.
you said? Oh shoot. Sometimes I do this in real life.
God.
So I think I know, but it usually is bad.
Yeah.
So I think what would happen is you would come down with a little sense of like a delirium. So things would start to get a little wobbly and you can't quite focus. So I feel like you would have a higher chance of failing casting spells or things that require concentration. But that's after you have 1 or 2 turns of being pretty good and like you can cast them. You can cast much higher. So I think it's a little bit of a risk reward for how you want to cast it. And then it will end in if you don't complete the battle fast enough, let's say in 5 turns after you've used the spell or the ability, your character actually automatically falls asleep.
Oh no.
Like the down is so quickly. So you get a couple turns of being really great, a couple turns of starting to dwindle down, and then finally you fall asleep because the caffeine crash has hit you. To cure it, I think you could in battle, because it'll cure automatically. It's one of those nice ones. Outside of battle, it just goes away. So in battle, if you need to cure it, you can have your character drink water, or you can have someone cast some sort of spell or something that makes the room or area very bright. So it makes it hard and inconducive to sleeping. So you can try that. I don't know. Is inconducive a word?
Oh, I feel you either.
Whatever that is. Yes, that you would do that, and that's what it would be.
Nice.
I deuce.
God damn it,
wow. Patrick! Everything is poop and sex jokes. Okay, wait. I'm giving one to you, Patrick. Now, or okay. This one is a little weird, and we'll see what happens. But your character was just stricken with nostalgia.
Oh, shit.
What is that?
I feel like you could just do a documentary on my life.
See, there you go. Perfect.
Your character just sits.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they had stop casts on them, and they look
and they just sit in wonder.
kind of happy, but they also look kind of sad.
Yeah, there you go.
They don't really respond to much because if you try and like shake them out of it, they're kind of like in their feels and their possible trauma, but also their happy space.
A little catatonic at the same time.
It basically is the same thing as stop, and the only way to remove it, there are 2 ways, is to get them in therapy.
Okay.
Or to slap them as hard as possible.
Perfect. Both extremes.
Snap out of it.
You have to contemporize.
You think gonna share? Yeah.
The nostalgia can be good and it can be bad.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Nicely done.
Fuck. I'm feeling the nostalgia.
Yeah, I had to come up with some of them because constipation and overcaffeinated were taken now, so I came up with some new ones. So KBash, you, my friend, were just turned into a gym bro.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
I'm trying to even like get into the head of someone who's ever been to the gym.
This is a true transformation status effect.
It is.
Yeah. That's
okay. So it is an effect, technically an ailment. I feel like if you're a caster,
that's definitely an ailment.
Definitely an ailment.
Okay, so depending on what game you're playing, if you're playing any kind of game with stealth, you no longer can do that. You are lifting constantly and grunting the entire time. If you are in a battle, again, the run effect, like no run, applies. If you're a caster, you can no longer cast. You become a fully physical individual.
Like a little berserk almost.
But at the same time, I want to say that it would also, unfortunately, like not actually let you fight because you're too busy doing your workout stuff and like, you know what I mean, like telling people about your workout or like how to correct or how to improve their own business or workout.
You're taking too much time putting up your phone that shows you working out, so you're not actually doing anything.
Also, I don't know, like that may or may not limit you to a row inherently because it's like people don't want to be like, you know, like get out of my life or whatever. Like it has that. I don't want to be rude about that stuff. It has that like veganism thing where like any sort of self-improvement is often looked down upon by other people because they can't like get in that space or like whatever. And really it is only good for you, but
I really like that you're comparing bros
Well-
and veganism, which I'm like, I get it.
Any
though. In
kind of
context, I get what you're
self-improvement
saying.
is met with like derision by people who are not
Yes.
there because they're like, you're being arrogant. So like, which, and to be fair, sometimes there is an element of that. Whatever, that's fine. Yeah,
I also feel like if you were to inflict this on someone, you would just be to the enemy. You'd be like, "Hey, man, nice biceps,"
Yeah.
and then they would get like an inflated ego, and they might get the bro
Oh my
status.
God. That could, yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually a great one too. Risks chance of forming friendships with enemies.
yeah.
Oh no, it's like the charm
Yeah.
one, but now they're
Yeah, it's
all
like
buff and
charm.
stuff.
It's like confusion
bro
charm.
charm.
Like sometimes you're bothering your friends, sometimes you're friending the enemies, and it's just like you just
Nice.
can't get out. That's horrible.
Now I'm imagining like the bro being a class, and I'm like,
Well-
the bro it would only wear like tank tops
Yeah.
and stuff, and then eventually like higher tiered gear is just no shirt at all, just bigger muscles. Just keeps going.
Oh man.
Being a former CrossFit escapee, I can attest to like how quickly bro status can be indoctrinated in you.
Yeah.
It
don't
takes
know what's happening.
It takes a little while to get out. All right,
It's a
KBash,
cult.
do you have one more round? in
I
you?
do. I just don't know if it'll be funny or good. So let me think.
That's
Well,
for
you-
Patrick and me to
you-
decide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you pitch it at me, buddy, and I'll be the judge of
Okay,
that.
you've been
God.
stricken with burnout from working too hard and too long.
Ooh.
Oh,
Hitting
man.
close to home.
Yeah. shit.
dark.
So apparently
shit.
you're the teacher class.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm so.
Yeah, I think burnout is like everything that is reduced to 10%. Your hit points are
nice.
10%, your magic points are 10%, like everything is 10%.
But you can still do it all. It's just it's
You do
lower.
it very, very poorly. And good for you for giving 10%, because 10% is, if that's all you can give and that's all you have, that's still 100%. But the only way to cure it is to take a week off. So your character literally has to sleep in an inn 7 times. That's the only way to get rid of it.
It's reminding me of Darkest Dungeon, right? Where you need to like in your people for a few days because they go insane. So it's insanity and burnout being a teacher. It's the same thing.
You're literally just like everything. How about this? For every like battle you don't stay at an inn, you lose 10% of your max everything until you get down to 10%. You just keep burning out.
No.
Wow.
That's great.
That
Yeah.
sounds devastating. Yeah. Like real life.
Oh man.
All right, Jason.
Oh god, I thought you were
were
giving
just-
a K-Bash. Let me get ready.
you were just turned into a boomer.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my god.
This kind of ties in with
There
my
is
last
no
one.
cure.
Yeah, there is no cure. It just happens. This is equivalent to like a Doom or an instant death spell.
Oh no!
Because there is a cure, but you have to act quickly. Otherwise, it's just going to end really poorly for you. The first thing that happens is a little bit of aversion from your party members. So you start to feel like, ooh, I don't get that joke and I don't understand them, so that you don't heal them as effectively. And your like team bonds that you would have, like your all-out attacks, for example, in Persona series, you can't participate anymore because
you're a boomer.
Because back in your day, you didn't have those, so like you can't figure it out. Also, whenever this status effect is applied in an older style game, like let's say for example, Final Fantasy VII. So like when the enemy attacks you, they like jump over to your side of the screen. Your character will yell things like "Get off my lawn," and it actually makes them potentially skip a turn because of how angry they are for them being on your side of the screen. And then the last thing is actually a little bit of a positive. So you exude a lot of confidence in being right, even though you're potentially wrong. So when you attack or cast spells towards the enemy, your chance to hit is always 100%, while your chance to crit is like really low.
Oh my god.
So like you know you're gonna do something, but it might not be that effective because you haven't really thought it through all
That
the
is
way.
fucking brilliant. I'm sorry. Like
You also own three houses and are in the wealthy 1%.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Somehow you've inherited everything, but don't realize what that means and what it implies, but think everyone else should do the same.
Yup.
Yeah, and
But
then
it's
in 3
okay
turns,
because you bought a house on $7 an hour.
yeah, exactly. And then in 3 or 4 turns, you just die, and then that's it.
Oh yeah, leaving no grave, no legacy.
Exactly. Nothing else. You salt the earth when you're gone. Like,
Just crumbling.
If someone says
wow.
"Okay, boomer" to you, you just instantly die.
yeah. If they say that, then like a limit break, you get the triggered break, and then you just go berserk and do a lot of verbal damage. Okay, so
Only on Facebook though.
I'm doing our last one. Is that right? And am I giving it to Patrick?
No, KBash.
Oh shit.
KBash. Oh, KBash. Okay. Semi-related. But status effect for you is just being middle-aged.
Oh, what the heck? Middle age. See, like that is okay. Now that's weird because that doesn't have the connotation of boomer. Because like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, boomer is. That's why I like boomer is like further out.
Fair,
so I was
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Right, they're Gen X.
This is this is like
And millennials,
yeah, Gen X and millennials.
Oh no.
This is us. This is all 3 of us right now. Being middle-aged. Well, almost middle-aged.
Why is this so hard to answer?
Because it's real.
Yeah, I guess.
middle age are indecisive.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
ADHD.
So like obviously you're susceptible to crises. This is the first one.
Yes.
So I feel like the middle-aged character or this party member is now like will produce status ailments of their own on like a percentage chance or like reflexive based on what they do. Like if they attack in combat, they might actually like throw out their like back or their arm or like, but only temporarily because they're not ancient. They're not old. So they're not fucked forever.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, oh, this happens when you get older. What the fuck? And I'm like,
That felt weird.
That wasn't normal.
This is trickling because that literally happened. To me.
Yeah, there you go.
I was deadlifting and I threw my back.
I'm sorry.
That's perfect.
As for the
That's
crisis one, like you can literally change classes, but you maintain this status like on a whim. Like you'll be like a black mage and you'll want to become, or you will instantly become a fighter because you need to explore this unexplored phase of your life that you missed out on and you're feeling really crummy about it.
Yeah, you have aspirations, but you're not sure if you're ever going to get there.
That's okay. So this is like truly devastating because it's effectively reduced you to like a random ailment producer and whatever. And I'm trying to think of like how you cure middle age because it seems to me it would have to be something about like reaffirming your place in life more than like, because it's not like happiness is not a destination. Identity is not a destination per se. These are
maybe the cure is gym bro.
Well,
someone casts gym bro on you.
I honestly wonder like, that is really hard. How does one cure middle ageism? Because it feels like it's something
finding purpose.
Yeah, it's something that either has to be granted to you or something you have to find for yourself. That's right. There is no cure.
That's the journey of the game when you get
the game doesn't tell you. It's just like
the game doesn't tell you exactly.
You have to find out for yourself what your place in this world is. Anyway, Jesus Christ.
Final Fantasy 24. Yeah.
10% of your every battle's wages go straight to therapy.
Yeah.
You sleep at an inn fully, but you still might wake up without full HP.
Oh God.
The trauma.
I keep saying age is awesome to people who are like really young, like 25, 24, and like scared of getting older. And it's like, because getting 30 is awesome. You become a more full human. But there is a tipping point where it's like, this is physically disastrous. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like.
Things change when I don't want them to change sometimes.
So I can't be too positive, but I do want to be positive. Oh.
Fair. Okay, well, I don't know if you guys would see me, but I literally had some tears in my eyes from kind of laughing and smiling so much. So that was great.
That was a good game. Yeah, that was fun.
Again, every game we play, we always give developers fantastic ideas. So just listen and steal. I won't even be offended. But that was great. Thank you, KBash. Thank you, Patrick, for giving us such wonderful new status effects. What status effects do you all want to share upon the world? Let us know. Twitter, Instagram at RPGaymer. Chat on our Discord. Leave a review for this podcast and tell us what you think your favorite new status effect could and should be. And yeah, just reach out. We love talking about games. I mentioned Discord just a second ago. All kinds of channels there have been really active the past few weeks. It's been fun to chat about cats and memes and Zelda and all of our new video games. And we have questions of the day going out now. It's been really, really fun. Lots of engagement over there. So if you want to talk about games, join our Discord. Lastly, if you want to support our show, visit us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/RPGaymer. All of your support there really goes a long way. It helps us out, tells us you like the show, allows us to have a lot of guests and interactions with new people. Like, thank you, KBash, for being here. And yeah, we really appreciate the love over there too.
Yeah, KBash, definitely want to thank you so much for appearing on the podcast again. It's always fun whenever you're here.
Always
and,
fun. Always fun.
We always appreciate your wisdom that you bring, and the games that no one plays that you can talk about.
No, it's fun being here.
I've played Gunganir.
Yeah,
I know
that's
that
right.
one.
Yeah, I think you brought up Jeanne d'Arc last time or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, exactly.
No,
exactly.
for real. It's awesome being on the podcast. It's very directed, very concise, and to the point. I do enjoy it. Plus, it's just fun. We actually have fun here.
We
You do.
And maybe we'll be able to snag you for season 4.
I love talking.
Would love.
I love talking. Perfect.
Oh my God.
Well, if you enjoyed listening to us today, be on the lookout for our next podcast, the Super Nintendo. We appreciate y'all for listening and hope you had a great time. Now go out there and get gaming.